Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be having a book talk on Rotation by Shirlene Obuobi. First of all, I want to start off by saying that I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It was absolutely phenomenal. This is the first 5-star book that I have given since fall of last year. This book is about a medical student named Angie who is young, in her early 20s, and just trying to get through life. She's trying to be the best person she can be. She's also trying to impress her parents and make sure she stays on the straight and narrow path. At first, things are going very well for Angie until she takes a very important test that all medical students need to take, and she ends up scoring pretty poorly on it. Then, to top it all off, her boyfriend ends up dumping her. Angie is an overachiever, so not doing well on a very, very important exam, plus getting dumped by her boyfriend, it feels like the end of the world for her. So she's moping around town, trying to find a way to tell her parents all of this because they expect her to be one of the best and highest paid doctors in the country, and they expect her to be married and have babies and all of this. So she's moping around the city until she finds herself at a local park and she meets a guy named Ricky. Ricky is a young Mexican-American artist who is like a breath of fresh air for Angie. Even though this is Angie's lowest point in her life, Ricky somehow finds a way to make it all seem to go away. Ricky is optimistic, he is positive, he's upbeat, he's funny, and according to Angie, he's pretty cute. You would think they would hit it off immediately because the chemistry is there, but Angie picks up some interesting vibes from Ricky. Angie ends up offhandedly mentioning something about taking her out on a date, and then all of a sudden Ricky gets this look of panic and he freezes. This in turn makes Angie feel really self-conscious and uncomfortable, and so she backs off a little bit. The two of them actually end up playing this game quite a bit throughout the book, which can sometimes seem a little annoying, but in the end it kind of makes the story. One reason why I love this book so much was because of the writing style. The author has such a fantastic way of explaining how the characters felt. One expression that I really liked that the author used was when Angie was trying to explain how she felt when Ricky would say something to her. She says she felt like a fizzy drink. It's like the perfect, most accurate way to describe how you would feel if a boy you had a crush on was talking to you. You feel all fuzzy and fizzy inside, maybe like you're about to explode. It was just perfect, and it just had me grinning from ear to ear. It was just really refreshing to read a book that didn't have a lot of curse words in it or a lot of sex in it. It was really innocent and almost playful and young feeling. Also, I could relate to this book, and I could also relate to Angie very, very much. Angie is a nerd just like me. She likes anime like me. She loves cartoons like me. She's weird, I'm weird. It's like I was reading about myself in a book. Even though I really love this book, there are a couple of things that I wish I could change. Because Angie is a medical student, there is a whole lot of medical terms and things that the general public may not be quite familiar with. And so what the author does to offset any confusion is she would leave little footnotes at the end of every other page. And sometimes these footnotes were very helpful because Angie would be shadowing a doctor in a hospital, and they would be talking about a patient, and they would use words that I've never even seen before, so it would be very helpful to know what they were talking about. So I will go down and read the footnote and I will be educated. But then there were other times where the footnotes were very distracting, especially when the footnotes were about something that I already knew about. Some of those things that I already knew about made me question who exactly this book was written for. Some of the footnotes would explain certain terms like hair texture, certain hair weaves, things like that. Like towards the bottom, it would just have an explanation of what kind of hair weave this did or what this meant for what kind of hair texture you had. And I'm like, ma'am, you and I are the same. I already know what these things mean. But other than that, the book was phenomenal. Sometimes I would be so into what I was reading, I wouldn't even see the little asterisk and I would skip right over it, and I wouldn't realize I missed the footnote until I got to the end of the page. Another thing that kind of irked me a little bit was Ricky. When Ricky and Angie first meet, it seems like they hit it off so quickly and they become fast friends. But sometimes Ricky would seem like he was wishy-washy and he would get cold feet, and then he would be distant, and then he would just go from hot to cold. And the whole time Angie realizes this, and we spend the whole book inside of her head. So every emotion she's feeling, I'm feeling too. But then Ricky would come back, and then he would be nice and lovable and positive again. And then Angie will fall for him again, and then I will fall for him again. And it's just a mess, like a up and down emotional roller coaster the whole book. But you do end up rooting for these two, even though they go through their own little problems. And in the end, because the author wrote Angie and Ricky's relationship this way, it made them seem a little bit more realistic, because most romance books start off with an occasional banter between the two main characters, and then they go through this, they go through that, but at the end, you know, they end up being together and everything's perfect, and you kind of don't get real life scenarios in between those two extremes. With Angie and Ricky, it's very obvious that this is young love between two people who are growing into themselves and are just trying to figure out life. I love Angie. I kind of like Ricky. So if you are looking for a book where two people are made for each other, but they get in their own way, then this is the book for you. This is actually this author's very, very first novel, and I will promise you that I will be reading whatever it is she writes next. I was pleasantly surprised by this book. I really, really enjoyed it. I think you would too. So that is it for today's video. Please let me know if you plan to read this book in the comments down below, and I will talk to you guys next time.